about us. And speaking of the song with the ego thing, that's what happens. The small self, the ego self, takes us and keeps us lurking in fear and trepidation and anger and judgment and comparison, and pulls us away from our higher self, and we just can't allow that to happen. Now, the ego is not a bad thing. We need the ego. The ego is our personality, it's our identity, it's how we function here on earth. If we didn't have the ego, no telling what might happen. We might walk out in front of the bus. The ego not being sharp enough to tell us not to do that. We could fall off a cliff. We could end up doing nothing or overdoing. So we need to have that ego, but we don't need to let the small self direct our spiritual self. Should be the other way around. And the spiritual self will direct us toward compassion. Funny thing, I have a story about compassion also. And I'll let you determine which direction the compassion in this story takes. So, back in the Central Valley, Farmer Jones has got his tractor out of the mud now. He's over doing some work around the barn. And up pulls the station wagon. The guy steps up and he's got this chain, you know, with a big ID badge in the front. And he walks over and he says, "Mr. Jones, I'm so-and-so from the Department of Water Resources. I'm just here to check, make sure that you're using properly your allocation of water, you know, and you're not overdoing. So I'm here to inspect your land." The farmer says, "Hey, all right, if you have to. The only thing I'd like to ask is, please don't go in that little section, that little field over there beside the barn." And the guy just gets livid. He says, "Didn't you see this? I told you, I'm from the Department of Water Resources, and I've got the full thrust of the government behind me, and I can go on any piece of land anywhere, anytime, and do anything I want." I said, "Okay." And he just goes back to work. Don't you know, but 20 minutes later, he hears this blood-curdling yell, scream from guess where? That field. And he looks over, and here's the guy from the Department of Water Resources running as fast as he can, and the farmer's bull right behind him in hot pursuit. And he's gaining. And the farmer throws down his pitchfork, runs over to the corral, jumps up on one of the rungs, and he says, "Your card! Your card! Show him your card!" So, not the kind of compassion that we're looking for necessarily. But passion and compassion all work in different directions. So now we know what it isn't. Here's what it is. That compassion in Tibetan literally means noble heart, because compassion is an act of the heart. A lot of times, physical passion is an act of the head. A lot of times, thinking about what our purpose is an act of the head. Compassion is always and forever an act of the heart. It is the interlinking of two hearts. Sometimes it's referred to as the heartbeat of humanity, compassion. And there's a gal, I forget her name, but made it very, very clear when she said that compassion is no longer an option. In this age, today, compassion really is it's an evolutionary imperative. It's a must-do. And sometime in the future, you and me, in this civilization globally today, we will be judged according to how we handle the compassion that is so necessary in the world today. We'll either be on the right side of history because we did rise to the occasion and show compassion even those we didn't think deserved it, or we'll end up on the other side of history. We'll have failed the test of our time. Yeah, so many words, so little time. I'm just going to close with this. My very favorite quote around compassion is from our very own Maya Angelou. And she said something to this effect. I've learned that people will forget what you said, that people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So my charge to you is, get in touch with your compassion. Stoke that little fireplace of spiritual compassion. And allow it to fill you and consume you. And to send it forth in every situation that you run into where compassion is called for. Take Maya Angelou's advice. Make them feel safe. Make them feel loved. Make them feel seen, heard, and most of all, accepted and not judged. Thank you very much. I don't know if you saw this. I couldn't see a clock, so I brought my own up to make sure. Because sometimes I do tend to go on. But right now, let's do my favorite part, our practitioner's favorite part. Let's take this to prayer. Let's just know together that there is that one power and presence, that one power that drives, forms, and informs, energizes all things for all time. That same power that drives galaxies and universes is the power that's coursing through our very veins. And knowing that there's only one substance, that is God's substance, from which all things come, including me, including you, including every one and everything that you ever see or meet. And knowing that we all come from this same substance, the same divinity, and we all participate equally in it. Knowing that nobody we will ever meet anywhere, any time, is other than exactly our own divine people, and mirroring back and forth from one another that divinity, that grace of God that is ours, that sustains us. It's just great to know that there's room in our hearts. There's room for compassion. There's room to love and accept in a caring, kind manner those things and people that seem untoward at first, knowing that in our human states, in our humanity, that none of us is perfect, and we've all said or done things to hurt other people, and been so ever so fortunate, so thankful when we had compassion in return for that. Knowing that that compassion is the spiritual love of God coming through us, working in as and through us as it does in every second of every day and in all of our undertakings. When we accept and recognize and surrender to that spiritual fact, to our own divinity, that's when the world blossoms and blooms, as we do personally in our humanness to into the finest spiritual hearts that we can be. It's knowing that this is the case and knowing that each of us is capable of receiving this divine guidance, of taking the grace of God that is